Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. So it is my favorite time of the year, that of course being EA rating season, when the new NHL game begins to start rolling out their ratings for every single position group, and then they just drop everything. And now at this point, we have everything, and there's definitely some interesting choices with these ratings. So I thought it'd be a fun idea to go through it right now. Again, this is EA ratings. This is not to be taken that serious, and I'm not actually mad at any of these ratings if they disrespect some players, but I wanted to go through it right now because it's pretty interesting. And yeah, let's not waste any time. We're going to go through the different top 10s, and I'm just going to scroll through I think they have like a top 200. Let's get into it. Let's go. We're going to start with the top 10 centers, and I actually don't think that they did a bad job on this. I probably would have like Elias Pettersson at like number 10 over a Jack Eichel. But besides that, Crosby, I think probably a 93 than say like a 94. But besides that, I think they actually did a pretty good job. So I got the Senators out, the centers out of the way. I agree. Matthews 95, Draisaitl, they're the same tier. Then you go up one to McKinnon, and then McDavid's obviously the highest rated player in the entire game. So yeah, actually a pretty solid job. Good on ESPN, good on EA before I start ripping into them. Next up, we got the right wings. And again, I don't think that this is that bad. I think Sam Reinhart at 91 with a Mitch Marner. I personally think that Sam Reinhart's going to come a little bit back down to earth this season. He's not going to be shooting 24% every single goddamn year. I think they're underrating Mark Stone a little bit. Mark Stone, when healthy, is one of the best two-way guys. I'm very high on Mark Stone. I know if you're building a franchise, you're probably not picking Mark Stone for next season within your top 30, considering he always gets hurt. But when this guy's healthy, he is better than Clayton Keller, in my opinion, for sure. Probably a 90, maybe even a 91. Mikko Rantanen, I maybe would even bump up to a 94. No, actually, a 93 is fair. I think I'd maybe bump Pasta down to a 94, though. Next up, the right defense. This is where it starts to get crazy, and especially this guy right here, Brett Pesce, being an 88. Same rating as Drew Doughty, who I still think is like a top 11 through 15 defenseman. Brett Pesce last year had 13 points in 70 games. I know points don't tell the full story for defensemen, but if you're going to be a top 10 highest rated right defense in the entire game, I think you got to be putting up a little bit more. And it's not like his prior years was like 45, 50 points. That is absolutely ridiculous, especially when you consider the fact that Dougie Hamilton isn't even listed on this. Yes, he's coming off injury, but that's ridiculous. Adam Fox, he should be a 93, 94, in my opinion. He's definitely better than Charlie McAvoy, and Cale Makar is not 3 overalls better, especially when you get to the next part of some of the guys that are ahead of Adam Fox. Pietrangelo is a little bit too high, in my opinion. I think Evan Bouchard should be bumped up some overalls, just considering how good he was this season. I think he's definitely better than John Carlson, then Pietrangelo, then Noah Dobson. Try to think, is there anybody on the right side that they forgot? Erik Karlsson needs to be on here. Definitely better than Brett Pesce, better than Seider for me. He's going to have like a 65 to 75 point season this year. Moving on, left wings, we got Artemi Panarin. I don't think that he's that much better than Matthew Tkachuk and Kirill Kaprizov. If you go solely off last year, maybe, but I think heading into next season, they're the clear top 3 in terms of left wings. Jason Robertson maybe also is knocking on that tier, but I think Kirill Kaprizov is honestly better than Artemi Panarin when they're both at their best. So I would bump Panarin probably down to a 93, maybe move Matthew Tkachuk up to a 93. The rest of it makes some sense. I would have Forsberg as the same ranking as Kyle Connor. The dude had 48 goals, 46 assists for 94 points last year. Ovechkin in the Big 24, maybe I would bump him down a point or two, but he's still a very good player. I think he's going to have a pretty solid season. I love Bratt getting some respect. I'm trying to think any other left wings that they're missing here. No, I don't really think so. Next up, we got the goalies. The only problem with this one, I think they actually did a pretty solid job, but Jake Ottinger being ahead of UC Soros, Jeremy Swayman, and Linus Olmark, I think is absolutely absurd when looking at Ottinger. Very good in 2023. This year had like a 905 save percentage on a loaded Dallas Stars team. Yes, I know UC Soros also didn't have the best regular counting stats last season, but Nashville was a far worse team just overall. So the fact that he's ahead of Linus Olmark, who won the Vezina in 2023, another like 9-14 season this year. Jeremy Swayman, very good in the regular season. In the playoffs, best playoff goalie last year. Ottinger's not on the same tier as Bobrovsky and Sorokin that have stacked multiple pretty goddamn elite seasons. And Bobrovsky was great last year in the playoffs, this year in regular season, this year in the playoffs. I think that's insane. I would move Vasilevsky maybe down a point to Thatcher Demko, and I would move Shesterkin up a point to 93. I think at this point, if your top 2 doesn't have Hellebuck and Shesterkin, I have no clue like what you're talking about, if I'm going to be honest. So anything else with this? I think this is honestly my top 10 goaltenders. Jacob Markstrom, maybe you could throw in here, but this is actually my top 10. They're just way too high on Jake Ottinger. For me, Jake Ottinger is pretty clearly, out of these 10 goaltenders, pretty clearly number 10. I know that he's young, he might take that next step this season, but outside of the 2023 regular season, he's never really had a full regular season where he's been a top 10 goaltender. He's kind of been propped up a little bit by his team. So I actually don't hate this, but I think that Jake Ottinger is a little bit overrated as of right now. Moving on to the left defense, Quinn Hughes, 94. I'm fine with that, but I think you got to have Adam Fox at least a 93, 94 if you're going to put Quinn Hughes at a 94, given the track records. Roman Josi, 93. Perfectly fine with that. Miro Heiskanen, 92. I'd probably bump him up to a 93 at the same. I think he's on the same level as Roman Josi in terms of Miro Heiskanen is. The advantage defensively between Miro Heiskanen and Roman Josi is about equal to the advantage that Roman Josi has on him in terms of offense. Victor Hedman, I get labeled a Victor Hedman hater. I'm not saying that he should be like an 85 overall, but a 92 is ridiculous considering the fact that he's the same rating as Miro Heiskanen. 1 point higher than Rasmus Dahlin, who is so much better both ways at this point. Josh Morrissey, he needs to be a 90. He needs to be a 91. I get called a pretty big critic of the Winnipeg Jets. Josh Morrissey the last 2 years has been a no doubt top 10 defenseman each of the last 2 years. He needs to be a 90, 91. Slavin, I like them giving respect to Slavin and Brodin. I would definitely have Zach Werenski ahead of Brodin at this point. I would maybe give, I believe Vince Dunn's a left-handed defenseman. Gustav Forsling probably should be on this list. But yeah, you got to move Heiskanen up a bit. You got to move Hedman down a bit. And you got to move Josh Morrissey up a bit. Okay, so now we're on the ratings page that dropped this morning. We're going to go through it. We've already seen a lot of these guys. I said initially Nikita Kucherov 96. I don't know why I didn't see that he was clearly a 95, not a 96. He's the same rating as Leon Draisaitl and Austin Matthews. So I want to correct the record on that. It's going to be interesting to see where they have guys. I'm thinking about a guy like Matt Barzal on the right wingers wasn't there. I think he definitely should be. Maybe they counted him as a center. Let's keep on going down. Kyle Connor. Elias Pettersson, 91. Okay, it's good to see that Elias Pettersson gets a 91, considering Jack Eichel was a 91. They didn't completely snub him. I think Pettersson's better than Eichel at this point. Stamkos as a 90, and they have him as a center. I got to disagree with that. Steven Stamkos, just not the same player that he used to be, really relies on the power play a lot. Who else we got? Dylan Larkin, center. I would have Dylan Larkin. Dylan Larkin being below Steven Stamkos is a little bit insane for me. Same thing for Kopitar. Matt Barzal. Okay, they counted him as a center, even though he's very much not a center at this point. Who else? Now we're getting into the rankings that we have not seen yet. Nick Suzuki gets an 89. Got to respect that. They're putting some love on his name. Zach Hyman, 89. I think Evan Bouchard's clearly better than Zach Hyman, but Hyman's great in his role. Mika Zibanejad, the power play merchant at 89. Maybe we'd bump him down one or two. No, I'm kidding. That's fine. Brad Marchand, 89. Rupe Hintz. Mark Scheifele at 89. Maybe a little bit too high in my opinion. Who else? Tage Thompson, 88. I think he should be an 89. Robert Thomas probably should be an 89. Malkin, 88. Oh, Adam Pelech, 88. I think that's I'm trying to be unbiased. Adam Pelech should be like an 86, 87, if we're being honest. He does not have the offensive ceiling to be an 88 at this point in his career. Nico Hischier, 88. Very high on Lucas Raymond with the 88. Cole Caulfield, 88. The best 50-goal scorer to never score 30 goals. I would probably have a Cole Caulfield at an 87. Probably same with Lucas Raymond. Shea Theodore getting respect. Love to see that. Easy 88, maybe even 89. So Carlson was an 88 at least. Still, it's crazy that on the graphic, they had Brett Pesce as the 8th best right-handed defenseman. Dougie Hamilton's an 88 as well, so I guess that's not insanely disrespectful. Patty Kane, 88. Morgan Riley, 88. I don't like that. Mikhail Sergachev coming off injury would not give him an 88. Freddie, decently high. Faba, Wyatt Johnston. Thomas Harley, 2 years, $4 million. You want my quick thoughts on that? That is an utter steal. Aaron Ekblad's not that good nowadays. Gustav Forsling all the way down at 87. That's Carter Verhaeghe disrespect. This guy has been a monster the last 3 seasons. He should be an 88. Easy, especially if you're putting like Raymond and Caulfield. If Caulfield's an 88, Carter Verhaeghe's got to be an 88 as well. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, it's a little bit disrespectful. Mike Matheson, 87. That's fine. Matthias Ekholm should be an 88. Kempe probably should be an 88. My boy Vince Dunn getting snubbed there. Brock Besser. Brandon Carlo's at 87. They are See, again, that doesn't make sense. Brett Carlos is strictly a defensive defenseman, which I'm fine if you care about defense. But then you got Victor Hedman at a 92. Make it make sense. Martin Necas, 87. That's a tad high for me. Bo Horvat, respect Bo Horvat. Seth Jones at an 87. Yikes. John Tavares at an 87. Fair. Probably maybe we bump him down a little bit. Tarasenko as an 87. Nowadays, oof, I don't know about that. Byram 87. Oh my God, that's not good. They're loving the PMP pair. They think it's still 2021 with Ryan Pollock. They don't really have that much, dude. They need to like differentiate these guys. Like the good thing about 2K, it's a shit game now, but like their actual roster players go down into like the 70s and shit like that. EA is broken in the sense that like every fucking player is between an 88 and a 90 for the most part. Joel Eriksson, 88, 86. That is disrespectful. Ehlers is also disrespectful, but Ryan O'Reilly at an 86. What the fuck? 70 points, great both ways. Jesus. Keandre Miller is the same grade as Ryan O'Reilly. Jake Sanderson's a stud. I'm going to wrap this up soon. Matt Duchene. Yeah, dude, like everybody's an 86. Like this just sucks. There's no different, like don't be afraid to piss off some players. Make it so like guys are throughout the 80s. Jacob Trouba. Jacob Trouba is the same grade as Joel Eriksson and freaking, why am I blanking? Ryan O'Reilly. Luke Hughes, Jacob Trouba. Yeah, that makes sense. Yep. Who's an 80? Oh my God, dude. How? Okay. Brock Nelson is an 85. Jacob Trouba is an 86. I'm not trying to make this a Rangers versus Islanders. Again, I think Pelech and Pollock were too high, but that is criminal. Brock Nelson has been around 35 and 35 the last 3 seasons. This just keeps on getting worse. Oh my God. I guess now we're just getting into the really young, unproven guys. Jonathan Huberdeau is the same grade as Brock Nelson. Ryan Lindgren's the same grade. I'm defeated. I am defeated at this point by these rankings. Patrick Laine, I would maybe bump him up to an 86. I think he's going to bounce back. Marcus Pettersson is one of the most underrated. Where was he? One of the most underrated defensemen in the NHL. Chris Tanev. Again, Jacob Trouba is better than Chris Tanev. Yep. Makes sense. Yeah, this is crazy. But yeah, let me know in the comments, what do you think about these ratings? What do you think about the different top 10s? What do you think about some of the other guys that I went through? It's rating season. Are you going to be getting NHL 25? Let me know in the comments. I'll be seeing you in the next one.